Sitting comfortably. We'll start with 3 ohms and pranayama mantra. प्राणस्येदं वशेत् सर्वं त्रिदिवे प्रतिष्ठितं मातेव पुत्रान् रक्षस्व श्रीश्च प्रज्ञा च विदेहि नैति। ॐ सहना भवतु सहनौ भुनक्तु सह वीर्यं करवावहै तेजस्विनावधीतमस्तु मा विद्विषावहै। ॐ शान्ति शान्ति शान्ति। Okay, let's begin the session of pranayama. So today's focus will be Ujjayi eventually, but we'll start with Kapalabhati and other practices. I have started the video session here because we'll also be doing some Uddiyana Bandha and Agnisara Kriya. So first we'll start with Kapalabhati. And before the techniques begin, I just want to tell you that pranayama is a great practice for one to take before you decide to advance in yoga. When we say advance in yoga, we are talking about advancing in the techniques of yoga, the Ashtanga yoga, where the higher practices are meditation, basically, where you are focusing more on sitting for a long time, or even otherwise, generally mindfulness. When you want to practice mindfulness during yoga poses or otherwise, you want to make sure that your prana is flowing well, all your faculties are cooperating so that you can be mindful. Otherwise, you want to hold your mind, want to sit down without thinking, but the strength of the mind is not there. So you cannot hold the mind for long enough. Somehow without your awareness, you drift off. So why is that happening? Because the pranic flow, the Ida and Pingala nadis and the Shushumna nadi, they are not cooperating with you. And so you're not in perfect harmony with respect to the circadian rhythm, with respect to the universal, the body's rhythm and so forth. So that is why it's important for us to direct the prana in the right manner, in the right channels, so that you're able to hold your mind for long durations, hold your attention for a long duration. So that is the idea of pranayama, and it's not only useful only for adults and for people who want to advance in the practice of yoga, but also for children who want to focus. So pranayama is a great practice for all ages actually. And when we say pranayama, the techniques don't have to always be just holding the nose. That is alternate nostril breathing. It may be boring for children to practice alternate nostril breathing, and hence chanting practices will help them enormously. And for seniors also, it may not be easy for them to sit down holding their nose, so it will be good for them also to practice chanting, and in some cases even ujjayi for seniors, because chanting for a long time may not be easy for seniors. Throat, they don't have strong throat, so the vocal cords, that is. So it will be good to this. And of course, for seniors, I think you have already learned this last weekend, some sort of balloon breathing would also help, because they won't be able to bring the pressure that one should bring in Brahmari. So we'll experience all of this today, a little bit of balloon breathing also. Okay, so it'll be sort of an unusual pranayama, so to say. Okay, so let us start with Kapalbhati. Taking Brahma Mudra, we'll start with forceful exhalation, passive inhalation, 60 breaths per minute for a minute. 1, 2, 1, 2, 1, 2, 1, 2. That format, like Shivananda's format, we should say. And gently close the, stop the practice. Inhale deeply. Exhale, relax and observe. Now moving on to 120 breaths per minute for a minute. Let's begin. 1 and 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 at that speed. Gently stop the practice. Inhale deeply. Exhale, relax. With the next breath, we hold the breath inside in Jalandhar Bandha. Inhale. And hold the breath with chin tucked down to the chest. And gently Release the breath, relax, and observe, meditate. Observe your breath. Kevala Kumbhaka. Suspension of breath, suspension of mind. And gently open your eyes. We'll now go into Bhastrika. So inhale forcefully, exhale forcefully. Gently stop the practice. Inhale deeply. Exhale, relax. And hold your breath with the next breath. Inhale. And Anta Kumbhaka with Jalandhar Bandha. Hold the breath. Chin tuck down. And gently open your eyes. And now we'll go into Uddiyana Bandha and Agnisara Kriya. Coming to standing position. So Uddiyana Bandha, bending down, hands just above the knees. And with one big breath, exhale and suck the abdomen and hold your breath inside, outside. And when you cannot hold your breath, release the breath, inhale and come back. Release your muscles. Relax. Now, one more time. This time we can attempt to suck the abdomen in and up, like the upper part. So you're trying to bend less, lengthen the spine and suck the abdomen. Once again, release the muscles, inhale, come back. And now Agnisara Kriya, same kind of holding but flapping. So let's begin at the lower level. Agnisara Kriya. Inhale, come back up. You have released. Next one, higher level of Kriya. And when you cannot hold the breath anymore, release the muscles. Inhale, come back up. And gently come down to sitting. And relax. And now we'll move on to practicing of Nadi Shuddhi Pranayama. Sitting comfortably. And let's begin. Taking Nasika Mudra. Inhale deeply. Close the right nostril. Exhale through the left. Inhale through the left. Close the left. Exhale right. Inhale right. Slow and steady. Following the rhythm of your breath. And you will see that exhalation is slightly longer than inhalation. Simply start counting your breath. No change in the rhythm. Simply count. Slightly elongate your breath. And you will see that it happens naturally. As you start counting the breath, your breath also slightly elongates. Continue to count. Continue to be natural. Last one. And gently stop the practice. Relax and observe your breath. And now we'll move on to Bhramari. Before moving on to Bhramari, let's practice the balloon breathing just to see how we can create that big expansion of lungs. And Bhramari ideally should practice and should be like the same effect. So let's start with balloon breathing, where you purse your lips and you just breathe. You inhale big and then blow like you're blowing the balloon. So let's start. Inhale big and blow that balloon. Inhale big. Three more times. The tough balloon. You need to spend a lot of energy filling the balloon. Last one. And gently close your eyes after the last balloon breathing and observe your breath. You may have felt a little tired. And gently open your eyes. We'll now move into Bhramari as a practice, 3 rounds, the same effect, that is creating, inhaling big and chanting for as long as you can. And when you hold your breath, you want to again practice Jalandhara Bandha to some extent. So if you would like to see, then I have the video on. So inhale big. Complete silence. Observe your lungs. Gently open your eyes and we'll move on to the next practice. So as you could hopefully feel that when you produce strong vibrations, it's almost like expanding the lungs and practicing not so much, but still you feel that balloon effect, balloon blowing effect, I should say. So you have blown up your own internal balloon and you're blowing the air out through the nose, of course, but in a very slow manner, but with a lot of force. So that's the idea behind the Brahmari, but seniors especially don't practice like that. So it'll be good to give them balloon breathing. In fact, anybody can practice, but more importantly for seniors and for COPD, people with lung problems. Okay, let's now move on to Ujjayi breathing as the last practice. So close your eyes. First, let us practice only exhalation, Ujjayi. So let us take one deep breath and start Ujjayi breathing, chin tucked down, and let go of the air, making a hissing sound, the whispering sound. Continue Ujjayi breathing and count your exhalation. So as you start exhaling, count 1, 2, 3, Om 4, Om 5, like that. Mississippi counts for seconds. Continue this practice for 4 more rounds. You may have counted up to 10, up to 15, up to 20 while exhaling. Everything is fine. The longer, the better. Continue. Stop the practice after the last round and observe your breath. Sahaja Pranayama. And gently moving on to inhalation Ujjayi, and this time only the inhalation is slowed down. So let's start. One deep exhalation, and as you inhale you start counting, making the hissing sound at the throat level. Inhalation Ujjayi is harder, but let's try. Exhalation is normal. And don't forget the Kevala Kumbhaka each time. Last one. And gently stop the practice. Eyes closed. Observe your breath. Sahaja Pranayama. And last one. We'll practice both inhalation and exhalation Ujjayi. Maybe a little, the ratio gets, won't be as long as you would like to be. The only inhalation and the only exhalation you could have dragged long, but now it'll be a little less, but overall you will still be breathing slow. So let us start both inhalation and exhalation Ujjayi. You may want to count how long, what is your ratio. Again, we are not asking to change the ratio or anything yet. Just observe, just count. Let's begin. And last one. And gently stop the practice. And relax and observe. And gently we'll move on to the concept of Bhagavad Gita. In this beautiful state of peace and tranquility, it will be good to add a concept of yajna today. Bhagavad Gita talks a whole lot about yajna, and the entire ritualistic practices of Hinduism have focused on yajna. Yajna has been the centerpiece of Hindu rituals. What we call Dharma Shastra, again, the division between Dharma Shastra and Moksha Shastra. Dharma is about practice. Moksha is about, Dharma is the practice for the sake of cleansing, we should say. The Antakarana Shuddhi, whereas Moksha Sadhana is the practice for the sake of liberation. So that's the differences. That's the difference between the two. So yajna has been the centerpiece. Now, when we say yajna, we are not talking about homa. We have to know the distinction between the yajna and the homa. Homa is a specific type of yajna, but it's not everything. So we should not be thinking that yajna means homa only. Yes, homa is part of that. Now coming to the yajna itself. Yajna is the exchange between two individuals, the exchange between an individual and the family, the exchange between the individual and the society, the exchange between the individual and the cosmos, the nature. All of this is yajna. So when you give, you also are eligible to take. So you need a lot of resources for your survival. Right from the you have taken, and without taking you won't live. So if anybody can practice a total selflessness, having born in this world and having been embodied being, it's not possible. You have to be selfish. You have self needs for you to satisfy. So in that sense, we always take. So yajna is about how we can take in such a way that we don't take more than what we need. We don't take unless we are eligible to take. And when we take, sometimes we take before we are eligible to take. And when we do that, we remember that there is a debt which is called runa, and we work on repaying that debt to the universe. That whole concept is yajna. And when you're born, you are helpless. You are nothing but taking from parents, from family, from nature, what they call matruruna, pitruruna, gururuna, from the teachers, devaruna, from the universe. So all of that, we are constantly taking for the first, uh, if you will, 25 years. But nowadays, much more, but that's a different story. So first 25 years as brahmachari, you're receiving. And then from 25 to 50, you are giving, but not even just giving, you're giving multifold. And from 50 to 75, you start slowing down. And from 75 onwards, you, even though from 50 to 75, you're not giving like a brahmachari, sorry, like a grahastha, you are still giving. You are more into jnana yajna at that time. You are giving your wisdom. And from 75 onwards, you are ideally, we are talking ideal age here, from 75 onwards, you are eligible to practice your own moksha sadhana. Until that point, you are in dharma sadhana. So this is yajna, where there is a constant exchange that happens, and you are constantly aware of what you have taken, and you are here ready to give multifold, more than what you have taken. So let us come to that. The shloka that we are discussing today is yajnarthat karmanaha. Yajnarthat karmanonyatra lokoyam karma bandhanaha. Tadartham karma kaunteya mukta sanga samachara. So yajnarthat karmaha. The karma that you are doing, the work you're doing, even receiving is a work, like you're enjoying, you're working, you're going to work, you're earning money, any kind of work. Brushing your teeth also is considered karma. So you have to know that karma is not necessarily just going to work and working. Every karma that you're doing has to be for yajna. Yajnarthat karmanaha. Anyatra, otherwise, lokaha ayam karma bandhanaha. Otherwise, this world will tie you down. It will bind you with the karma. The karma becomes a bondage. So you have to understand that the more you receive and less you give, the more you're tied to the universe. You're not going to get into the moksha of it. So basically, let's analyze this, not so much from the perspective of the typical view of karma, but from the yogic view of karma. Now, what is yogic view? Meaning mind. So what happens when you become selfish? So when do you take more and give less? When you're selfish, when your mind is hankering for objects, that's when you take more. You're basically more into pleasure seeking aspect of karma, and you're working more for your own pleasure and sensual satisfaction. That's when you take and you don't worry about giving. So the more you do that, the more the world becomes a bondage for you. The more you want, the more you are locked into this loop of demands of life. You want a house, you got that, you're not happy, you want some good furniture into that, and then you find that, and you go into these malls and you find more objects, you keep filling your house. So that loop of endless demands for your enjoyment never lets you go on the path of moksha. So that is how you can view this this aspect of karma bandhanaha. There are other ways to look at it also, saying the more you receive, the more you you will come back into the next life and continue that, continue to repay what you have taken, is all that aspect of looking at karma. But we don't go there. We are into yoga, so we work more on the mind aspect of it. So we are purely talking rational stuff, and we are talking about mind and individual journey as a yogi here. So if yajna is about being aware that you have constantly been taking, and without taking you won't continue to live anyway. So you have to receive. So that means you also have to be cognizant that you have to work extra to give more. And that's the aspect of karma. Otherwise, the world becomes an object of bondage, a thing of bondage for you to, it just binds you to the universe, to the sensual pleasures. So yajnarthat karmanaha anyatra lokoyam karma bandhanaha. So the word is yajnartha, yajna artha. So for the sake of yajna, karmanaha. So karma has to be for the sake of yajna. Otherwise, the lokaha ayam becomes karma bandhanaha. Tadartham karma kaunteya. So for that reason, do the work. Mukta sangha samachara. So you and only then you become mukta sangha. That is, you work, you live without any attachments. Mukta sangha. So he says, Krishna says this to Arjuna, that work for the sake of higher good, not for the sake of your own inner pleasure. So basically, work you do anyway. He says, Nahi kaschit kshanam api jatu tishtatya karma krita. That is, there is no time that you don't work. You are constantly working anyway. Now, sitting with hands tied doesn't mean that you are not working. You are still, your mind is still going around thinking anyway. So you cannot live without working, but make that work selfless. That is, or you can say for the higher good, instead of using the word selfless. Next, the next shloka that we want to look at, which is the same, goes in the same same path. That is, karmanyaiva hi samsiddhim astita janakadayaha loka sangrahamevapi sampashyan kartumarhasi. So the word here is loka sangraha. That is work for the sake of world. That's loka sangraha, welfare of the world. Only when you work for the sake of the welfare of the world, you have your kartumarhasi. That is, you are eligible to work only for the sake of the higher good, the welfare of the world. Otherwise, you are again karma bandhana. You become a selfish person who is attached to this world, and you will not be eligible to go on the moksha sadhana. When we use the word eligible here, it doesn't mean that somebody is preventing you from going there. It's just simply that you won't go there. As simple as that. When you are not competent enough, you won't become competent enough to go there. So no matter what you do, no matter how much of meditation you do, how much you sit down and for decades you sit down to do tapas, you're not going to get there unless and until you work for loka sangraha. Only when you have worked for the sake of welfare of the whole world, you are eligible to be free, says Krishna here. So loka sangraha mevapi sampashyan kartumarhasi. You are eligible to work only for the sake of the welfare of the world. Otherwise, it's just a bondage. And he gives an example here. Janakadayaha. He uses the word Janaka here. King Janaka, Sita's father, was considered Rajarshi. He was king, but he was also Rishi. He's giving an example saying that karmanyaiva hi samsiddhim astita janakadayaha. By doing the work, he achieved siddhi, samsiddhim. So he achieved the moksha sadhana just by doing good work for the whole of his kingdom. So he was so busy, he was constantly working, and yet he attained moksha. So the idea here is that you don't sit down and do nothing, as we say in meditation, to be able to go into moksha sadhana. Please note that we are not undermining, Krishna is not undermining the sadhana of those sannyasis who have renounced everything, but he's focusing on people like us who are in household path, and even otherwise, if you would like to take sannyas and move about, you should have worked for the sake of welfare of the world, and only then you become, for the sake, only then you um, you develop that antakarana shuddhi, the inner self has to be completely clean. The shaucha has to have been completed before you go into sannyasa. Otherwise, you can also be a sannyasi, but a fake sannyasi at that point. You're sitting there thinking of worldly pleasures in different forms. Maybe there are sannyasis who are just sannyasis, but have enough hankering for their own ashram, for their own bodies, wearing those, wanting fame, name, good food, and things like that. So there are many sannyasis like that. So that is how we end up being, just by wearing certain robes and things like that. We don't become sannyasi. So for the total cleansing, inner and outer, complete cleansing of the vasanas, we still have to work, and only then you are eligible to go into moksha sadhana. And even if you did not go and sit and meditate, you can still achieve a total complete siddhi, that is moksha siddhi, by just working for the higher good. That's the saying here in this shloka. So the concept that we looked at is basically yajna as an exchange, as a way of giving and taking. And when that giving becomes more than taking, that's when you are working for the loka sangraha, for the higher good. And of course, is there a limit? Is there a one example that we can say, and that is the we can set the bar there and say, oh, okay, if I spend 2 hours every day working for others and rest of the time I'm selfish, then it's okay. Is that how we are saying? No, there is no, nobody sets a bar for this. Nobody decides how that loka sangraha has to be done. It can be done very well in whatever path you have chosen, in terms of your career, or in terms of your the temperaments, the hobbies, the whatever path you have been following. In that path, start making it more and more selfless, more and more for others. Then you pretty much live the idea of loka sangraha. Naturally things will flow. You don't have to sit down and think, okay, what shall I do now for loka sangraha? What shall I do now for yajna? Now, as a giving and taking, now I have been taking. Like, just say you go to get some flowers from your garden. You just have this thought, okay, have I given enough? Have I watered my plants? And am I taking too much? Maybe 1 or 2 is enough. Things like that. And when you go to a mall to shop, do I need all these things? How much am I accumulating? This is also a yajna. And go out there, you want a big house, you want big everything. Okay, how much space am I going to be using in this big house? Do I really need this big? Okay, if I do get that big house, how many people am I hosting inside? For maybe there are dharma pracharaks who are there. There are many of these good people who come around doing good work. Am I inviting them to my house? Am I doing something to use this house for the higher good? And maybe when when I want to sell this car and buy this new Tesla, or not so bad iPhone and buy the new iPhone, maybe we can start thinking, how much am I taking and what am I giving? These are some of the attitude and the constant contemplation that we are looking at here while we are working, while we are living, while we are enjoying life. Please do enjoy life. That's how you can give. You can only give when you're happy. So yoga is not about simply living like a wretched life. It's not a life. It's not a prescription to live a wretched life. It's not a prescription to not enjoy. It's a prescription to just totally be in enjoyment. But as they say, Tena tyaktena bhunjitaha. Ishavasya Upanishad says, Tena tyaktena bhunjitaha. Give up and enjoy. So the slowly learning to enjoy with less and less items around you, less and less objects of happiness, of pleasure. That is the goal, and you will see that pleasure is actually lesser. The less is more, and more is actually less, because the more you try to accumulate, the less happiness they give, and the less and shorter the happiness lasts, because you want more very soon. So that is the idea here. So let us contemplate on yajna and loka sangraha as the means of practicing this yajna. Close your eyes. Wishing this peace for the whole universe. Sarve bhavantu sukhinah, sarve santu niramayah, sarve bhadrani pashyantu, ma kaschit dukkha bhag bhavet. Om Shanti Shanti Shanti. Thank you. Namaste.
Unmuted.
Thank you, everybody.
Thank you, Ashwini.